What's up, guys? Episode 20 of the Big Ben StrongCast. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 ways to improve your split jerk. Now, if you know me, you know that I am not a fan of the split jerk. I think it is overly too sport specific to the sport of weightlifting for most people to need to do them. However, that doesn't mean that they are a bad exercise. Again, there's no bad exercise unless you're standing on a Bosu ball. Now, the split jerk does have a lot of benefits, especially as you progress in the sport of weightlifting. I think it becomes more necessary for most lifters. So covering some ways to improve in it. So if we want to improve the split jerk, we can improve in it 3 ways. We can either improve our split position, we can improve our dip drive, which is basically timing, or we can just basically get stronger, right? Stronger overhead. So improving the split position is simple. It just takes repetitions. So some ways that we can improve our split position, we can do a few things. We can use a technique primer like just drop footwork drills. So practicing no barbell, just jump up and land into your split, hold, make sure your feet are in the right spot. Um, Doing sets of those in between each set, or one set of 20 to make sure that your footwork is primed and ready to go is a great way to help get ready for that. What we're looking for in the split is the feet to move forward and out slightly. The front foot, we're going to have the toe pointed straight forward, or slightly in, but definitely never out. The back leg, we should have the heel as far away from the ground as possible. Think sprinting mechanics, same thing. And then we are trying to drive the back knee down and have our front shin vertical. All right, so again, that's toe straight forward or in, never out. Front shin vertical, back leg bent. All right, we're trying to drive our knee down and trying to get that back heel up off the ground. So practicing the split, we can do footwork drills. We can do something along the lines of a strict press from the split position. So 3 sets of 5, building up in weight. And that, before we start moving on to jerks, is a great primer for feeling where you're supposed to be and feeling strong in that position as well. It's a little bit better, in my opinion, than footwork drills, but everybody's going to find something different works for them. Moving on from improving our footwork. Oh, the last thing that we can do jerks with a pause in our split. This is probably the most specific to the actual split jerk, but doing jerks where we pause in the split, hold for 3 to 5 seconds before recovering, is going to help us make sure that we are balanced in the foot and that our feet are in the right spot before we recover. If you have to rush out of a jerk, you don't have it, which means you haven't earned the stability or you haven't earned the footwork that you're working with. All right, so the next thing that we can do to get better at the split jerk, the next thing that we can do is improve our dip drive. So there is a bunch of things that go along with improving the dip and drive. If this is just a timing issue, then doing things like a slow dip will help with our jerks. So doing a jerk as normal, but just having a slow dip. If you dip too low, if you don't dip enough, this will kind of help make sure that you are dipping the right amount and driving and turning around fast enough for it to be efficient for you. The next thing that you can do to improve your dip drive is a pause in your dip. This is a really great tool, especially if the athlete has a hard time figuring out where they're supposed to dip to. That is a great exercise for that, as well as for anybody who is not so great with explosiveness. This is going to force them to be more explosive in order to make the lift. That kind of reckons back to which variation should you choose. Choose the variation that will not allow you to succeed the lift if you don't fix the technique problem. So the last thing with our dip drive, we can do a heavy dip holds. So I'm really big fan of these, as this also highlights any sort of dip drive problems that the athlete may have. Load up about 10% more than they can actually jerk, depending on their skill level. Maybe you could go heavier, and have them walk the bar out and do some dips, basically just dipping and then standing, dipping and then standing, treating it like they're going to try and do a jerk. The hardest part here is if there is any issues with rushing down into the dip, the heavier weight will actually force the athlete to recognize that, because you can hear it, and then the weight will actually punch you down and work against you if you don't do it correctly. A lot of people don't really think about this, but the barbell was made to be lifted, and it will work with you if you let it. So jerk dips, I think, highlight that to a very high level. The last thing that we can do to get better in our split jerk is just get stronger overhead. Right? Getting stronger overhead is kind of easy. You just have to put in work on it. Different kind of work than the technique stuff, but still. So most specific to the split jerk, I've found, is doing heavy push presses. My mentor, Glenn Penlay, was a big fan of doing push presses twice a week, hitting 5 sets of 5 on our squat day, and hitting a 5 rep max about 5 days later, and just doing this every single week and adding 5 pounds to your maxes and your 5x5s. Honestly, this is really efficient. A lot of athletes who have a big split jerk but don't have a big push press, you can really drive some adaptation in the split jerk by just getting their push press up. It doesn't look the most specific to the split, but it just works really well. The next thing that you can do is upper body bodybuilding. So pressing from different planes of motion. So we can go dumbbell overhead pressing, single arm. We can go dumbbell bench pressing. We can do incline bench, decline bench, doesn't really matter. Just getting strong depending on what you need. Then hitting a lot of back work, lat pull downs, cable rows, dumbbell rows, just anything, tricep extensions, anything that's really just going to put muscle on the upper body is going to help you get stronger overhead. And the last thing is doing strength exercises that force you to be stable. So my last favorite thing to do for this is anything with a yoke overhead. So if you don't have access to a yoke, kind of sucks, not really a good replacement for it. But if you do, I would highly take advantage of it. We do a few things with it. We can do either just overhead yoke carries, which I think are really great. We can also do jerk recoveries with the yoke. If you've ever done jerk recoveries, they're hard enough on their own. With the yoke, we challenge a little bit of stability, which I think a lot of lifters need to be humbled by. So I would highly recommend, if you can, find yourself a yoke, get some practice on that. With the overhead yoke carry, we're really looking for, you should be able to carry your jerk weight for about 50 feet. And in the jerk recovery, I think you should be able to do about 110% of your best jerk on that. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful. There's a lot of stuff packed in this one. Give it a listen. Try things out, because that's really the only way that you can actually make sure that you get progress in the jerk. If it did help you, let me know. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. If it didn't, shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I may be able to give you some more specific help. Find us on social at Big Ben Strength and Conditioning, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter if you are an athlete at Big Ben Strength. And make sure you visit our website for a whole bunch of blog articles. It's www.bigbendsc.com. All right, catch you later. Bye.